A second wake and memorial march will be held today for the fallen NYPD officer, Jonathan Diller.
We'll be at the Massapequa Funeral Home right there, right off Merrick Road. The weather will be better. The turnout will be greater. There'll be 2 sessions today and a huge funeral tomorrow beginning at 10 a.m. at St. Rose.
Yeah, the young father and husband was gunned down on Monday, and they now have the gunman. He is being charged with murder.
So, by the way, Cardinal Dolan is going.
Yeah.
He's going to be going today.
So here's the headline from the cover of the morning New York Post. Trump attends the wake for killed hero, NYPD cop, while 3 Democratic presidents attend a glitzy fundraiser.
That is really something. Peter Doocy is live at the White House. Peter, you were pointing out that split screen earlier. It is something.
And Sandra, it's very uncommon to have 4 presidents in such close proximity to each other unless there's an inauguration happening here in Washington. We saw 3 of them stay in Manhattan. 1 of them went out to Massapequa.
Their child, brand new, beautiful baby, sitting there innocent as can be, doesn't know how his life has been changed. But the Diller family you'll never be the same. You can never be the same. And we have to stop it. We have to stop it. We have to get back to law and order.
The New York Post writes about the Biden event. Thursday night offered the chance to have a glam photographer snap you slapping hands with President Biden or predecessors Barack Obama and Bill Clinton for a donation of a mere $100,000 to Biden's re-election campaign. Pretty posh for the supposed party of the working class. We saw progressives really steamed on 6th Avenue last night, tussling with police as they screamed about a ceasefire. And then inside, the 3 presidents were trying to keep things light.
Question to you, sir. Can voters trust a presidential candidate who has not won a single Trump International Golf Club trophy? At long last, sir, have you no chip shot?
Well, look, I'd be happy to play. I told him once before when he came into the Oval, when he was before he got sworn in, I said, I'll give you 3 strokes if you carry your own bag.
There were 4 different interruptions to the program, people screaming who had to be led away. And this is the first time by my count that somebody paid with a donation to get kicked out of a Biden event. Back to you.
Peter Doocy live at the White House for us. Peter, thank you.
The minimum was $250 to get in the door, different tiers. You want a picture with all 3 of them, $100,000. They raised $26 million. Donald Trump's team raised $20 million in all of February. So they raised more in one night. So he's going to be outraised. That's pretty clear. The question is Barack Obama going to try to get Joe Biden elected? Is he going to make all the appearances across the country? Because the other story is that he will not do national television from here on in. He's only going to be doing podcast and local radio.
Podcast is going to be part of his recipe.
Yeah,
podcast and unscripted long-form interview. Granted, he'll do it with friendly environments, friendly interview hosts, but still, even in a friendly environment, Joe Biden for an hour or even 15 minutes unscripted.
That's a lot. He tells long stories, and a lot of them are based on nothing. Well, a lot of them are fictional, but he tells long stories about Tito and Yeltsin, that might have mild interest. So that might help him, but they do not want to put him in a tougher situation.
Well, it's clear that the campaign, the Democratic Party, did not have a exit strategy after Obama, because it looks like, according to a lot of the reports, he's taken over the campaign. He's having daily calls with not just the campaign staff, but the president. He's orchestrating all these events. He's going to be making a lot of appearances. He's going to be feeling. The thing is, though, he's not on the ballot. So there's only so much the surrogates can do.
Let's see.
At the end of the day, people want to see the candidate, and they want to see them in a moment of tragedy as well. So this was an opportunity for the president to go to an event, fundraise, but also go to this funeral.
I know you're going to have more from your interview in just a second. Did you feel like, I think it was Lawrence or Will said it earlier, did you feel like he made any really specific targeted attacks on the current president, Joe Biden?
No, and the solar plexus was open and the chin was out. And he said they have to do something. They have to get involved. Here's more from the president talking about why he thinks Joe Biden didn't make a call and hasn't made a visit and had to be kind of baited into even talking about Laken Riley. Watch.
Stephanie's incredible, and they wanted me to be there, and I wanted to be there, and I came in from Florida. And what a family, the Diller family. And they lost a hero, really. I mean, just a hero. They're devastated. The family is devastated. The police force is devastated. The whole country feels this way. And it's happening more and more, and it's really a lack of respect for law and order, and we have to have law and order back in our country, and we're going to, because this can't happen. This was a brutal murder. Blue blood and top of his class, and everything perfect, a beautiful record of doing his job properly and fairly. And this is what happens. It's just so horrible. Jonathan was, you know, they say, walking the top. He was the top in every respect, top of his class. And this happened to somebody that should not have happened. Ryan, the baby, 1-year-old, is never going to be the same. I mean, you know, it's doesn't know yet what the meaning is, but it's certainly going to have a big impact. When I was leaving, we're driving down the road, and it felt like we were driving for miles, and there were men and women in blue. They were going for such a period. I said, that's a lot of people. It's moving. That was a long blue line. Right. That was a long blue line indeed, and that's respect. They have respect for this family. They have respect for what Jonathan meant, and to me, they're the most brave people. It's getting worse and worse for police because we're not taking care of them. We're not allowing them to do their job properly. If you think about it, the man is arrested 21 times. He's a killer. His nickname, I guess, is Killer, or the other one is Killer. And when you think about it, this shouldn't be where you go up to a car and they shoot you and murder you. This shouldn't be happening in this country.
Would it be possible for President Biden to have got to Massapequa and visited the family?
I'd say within a half an hour, depending on the mode of travel. So, you know, they have some pretty fast travel.
What does it tell you?
I think that politically he can't support the police. I think he's also making a mistake. But I think politically his base won't let him support the police. And I support the police, I would say, at the highest level of any president by far, maybe double or triple. And they knew that. That's why when I walked into that funeral parlor, it was like love. It was just, they want to shy away from it. They didn't even call the family. They could have called. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know. Even a call would be perhaps, I'm not sure they'd take his call.
What is the message to the presidents at Radio City right now? Before you leave New York and go back to Florida, what did they miss today?
Well, they missed a very sad moment for our country, but it's a moment that they have to be a part of, whether they like it or not. They can't skip this moment. I've never seen so many police. I've never seen so many firemen, a lot of firemen. They view it, you know, in a very similar way, and I understand that. But they're going to have to get involved a little bit because this country is going to hell. Our country is not respected anymore.
To the former president's point, though, he is right that Joe Biden can't support the police. Remember, we talked about this earlier. This was the author of the crime bill, and he was demolished for that. But also, how do you make this pivot? Remember, Joe in his prime was supported by all the police unions, all the fire unions. He was a law enforcement guy. I think because he got hammered on it so much during the last election with the Democratic primary, he's bagged away totally from the cops.
If I were running for president and I've got now 2 families of victims, we're going to use Lincoln Riley and Jonathan Diller as part of this conversation now, who have not only embraced the former president but had criticism for the sitting president, I might sense some red flags.
Interesting in this moment to point out, though, the 180 we have seen from some of these blue city leaders who have had to change their tone on police. I mean, to the point of calling in the National Guard in some of these cities where crime has gotten so bad. But to the point of the president, I think you noted this earlier, that wasn't a specific attack on Biden. That was on Biden he can't respond to his base.
That's right.
Right? And that was an interesting approach from the
right,
president.
because he's already hurting some people who believe that there's a race problem when it comes to the NYPD. He's bleeding African-American votes. The president of the United States in the last poll has 22%. He can't win if that number does not go down. So if he comes out and goes pure law enforcement, even though forces like New York are majority minority, they'll still be the wrong message to send in front of certain left-wing crowds. So he does nothing. To me, if I had to become president, if I had to divorce myself from the law enforcement, I'd say keep the job.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have law and order and be president.
But also, Brian, he didn't even need to go out and make this big statement. A call goes a long way. Just call the family. You don't have to talk about politics. Send your condolences, send flowers, just a little bit of communication. If we've been sold that he's supposed to be this master communicator and consoler in chief, he failed on this moment.
So on part 2 on One Nation, tomorrow night at 9, we do talk about Truth Social. He's brought up billions of dollars to him. We do talk about the border and what he would do about the Mexican threats and the Venezuelans demanding the Guatemalan president saying they need $10 million to control their border. How would he handle that? And also where we're at in this election and the RFK threat.
Yeah, you talk about RFK. The new polling shows both a 3-way and 5-way race. It benefits Trump right now. All right.